reservations, and certainly not in front of someone like Sal. Everyone said he was born with ice in his veins. The story was that Bobby Whitesox had visited Calabria for a meeting with the 'Ndrangheta in the early 2000s and had been impressed with the quietly imposing soldier who had been deputed to act as his protection during the stay. Luca had heard that Bobby and the Italians had consummated an agreement to work jointly on the importing of Colombian heroin and cocaine into the country, and, as part of the deal, Bobby had requested that Sal come to Kansas City to work for him. That was years ago, before Luca had become involved in the family, but he had heard all the stories. Sal was an old-school mafioso, and his life was underpinned by unquestioning loyalty to his boss. Luca would never have been so gauche as to ask him about the jobs he had done at Bobby's request, but he knew of half a dozen men that he had killed, together with the rumours of at least the same again. There was one killing in particular that stood out. Sal had been there when Patrizio had been shot at Gambino's pork store, and had been there the next day when Bobby had taken revenge on the street crew who had been responsible. Sal had led the ambush near St. Luke's. It was the 33rd Street Aztecas, and Sal had shot 2 of them, and then chased the 3rd into the kids' playground at Roanoke Park, and shot him too. Chapter 2. The radio in the car was tuned to KAHE 95.5 FM, and Blondie's One Way or Another was playing. Patrick O'Connor put the binoculars to his eyes and adjusted the focus. He had noticed a cloud of dust on the horizon, but as the image clarified, he saw that it was a large truck, and not the Ford Econoline that they were waiting for.
"Anything?"
Patrick lowered the binoculars and turned to his brother. He shook his head.
"Not yet."
Kenny was sitting on the hood of the car that they had driven out here.
"How much longer?"
"I don't know.
Bird said the meet was set for 8.
He checked his watch.
"It's not 1:30 yet. Probably going to be here for another hour." "You trust him?"
"Who?"
"Bird. You know, he's basically incompetent."
"I know, but he serves a purpose." Kenny stretched.
"I told you we didn't need to get up so early. I could have had another half hour in bed."
"And you know what Da used to say?
Better 3 hours too soon than a minute late."
Kenny muttered.
"I know. I'm just bored."
The 2 of them were twins. Patrick was the older by 5 minutes, and took pleasure in reminding Kenny of that fact whenever his brother questioned his decisions. In truth, though, dissent was unusual. Kenny wasn't a leader, and knew that it was one of his limitations. He didn't have the mind for it, nor was it something in which he was interested. He had been content to follow Patrick's lead ever since they had been youngsters in Clondalkin. Their parents had always said that Patrick had been born with the brains, while Kenny got the muscle. The twins trusted each other implicitly, and the combination of their talents, together with a ruthlessness that they both shared, had served them well in life. It had brought them here, from Dublin to Missouri, and they were going to need every last scrap of moxie to pull themselves out of the mess into which they had been pitched. The DJ on the radio faded down Blondie and cut to the weatherman.
"We're just giving you advance warning of a line of severe storms that are passing through Fort County. We got reports of severe thunderstorms and possible tornadoes, 60 to 70 mile-an-hour winds, and diamond nickel-sized hail. The front is moving quickly and is not expected to stick around for long, but you'll need to take it easy on the morning commute."
Patrick looked over at the horizon. There was a bank of black and grey clouds at the fuzzy margin where the ground met the sky.
"Shit,"
he said.
"You think they'll still come?"
"They're not going to leave it at the farm. They'll come." "Check the gun."
"I checked it."
"Check it again." Kenny slid off the hood and went around to the trunk. They had brought a Barrett REC-7 carbine with them, together with plenty of ammunition. Kenny had picked the gun up from a middleman that he had used before. He had told Patrick...